Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and another edition of the RePlay podcast. So much news, so little time. So today we have some exciting news in the world of movies. It's been reported that Netflix is currently in negotiations to acquire a movie theater. Very interesting indeed. Now, if you remember, in the news recently, there's been some contention between Netflix and the Academy. And this is despite the number of wins that they acquired for Roma at the last Academy Awards, right? I believe they got at least 10 nominations and came away with 3. Of course, they didn't walk away with the big win, Best Picture. They were nominated but didn't get the win. But following that, Steven Spielberg himself, who was very vocal about Netflix's place or not their place at the Academy Awards, and he considers films that are on streaming platforms to be TV movies that are more suitable for the Emmy Awards and not the Oscars. Now, you may fall on either side of that argument, but for me personally, I don't believe it should matter what platform it is that the film originates. A film is a film, right? And how we consume the film doesn't impact how good the film is, how well crafted it is, whether it's the writing, directing, the music, and so on, right? So how we consume content has changed significantly over the past few years, and that isn't something that we can write away. We can write off with one decision, irrespective of how the Academy might feel. That is the future. Disney is now throwing their hats in the ring with their own streaming service. Apple has now done the same, and funnily enough, Steven Spielberg himself is attached to a project for Apple TV that they announced a few weeks ago. So some irony there. Although yes, he didn't say specifically that he's against streaming service itself, just that he doesn't feel it should be placed in the same category as other Oscar-worthy films. But that said, I don't believe that Apple is going in this game with the intention of only making TV films, not with the talent that they've put together. I believe the announcement that they made a few weeks back involved Oprah, Jason Momoa, and a number of other actors. So I don't believe it's going to be limited to just TV. So they will also eventually, just as Amazon has, push for films that will be Oscar contenders as well. Right. So I believe at this point we have to examine the current rules and guidelines and see how best we can amend them for the future, because there's really no going back, right? But if Netflix does, as I understand it from the article that was released, Netflix's intention isn't necessarily to acquire, I believe it's the Egyptian Theatre in Los Angeles, isn't to acquire it for commercial purposes. And I'm glad to hear that, because whenever you hear these announcements, my first thinking is, how is it going to impact the consumer, right? Because what I would hate to see happen is Netflix going full swing into the commercial theater and release their films there for several weeks before releasing it on the streaming platform. Because I'm subscribed to Netflix, and of course, aside from the TV shows, I am expecting to see my films released just the same, right? And allow me to. I wouldn't necessarily want to be paying for a streaming and also having to go to pay and watch it in the theaters, only for it to be available on Netflix 3 weeks later, right? So. That was one of my concerns initially going in, but based on the sources and what was reported in the article, they strongly believe that Netflix's intention is strictly to ensure that they can meet the guidelines that the Academy has put before them in terms of having the film run consecutively for a number of for a specific period in order to qualify for the Academy Awards, which is to be fair, is what Spielberg was suggesting before, right? So I mean, it's an interesting bit, and what is beneficial to Netflix here as well is I mean, the history of that theater itself. It's a non-profit, and it most of the everyday programs and projects that they undertake, it's a lot of lectures and festivals surrounding and celebrating film, right? And what better way for Netflix to sort of make peace and send a message that, okay, we are here to preserve cinema. We're not here to dismantle it, right? So it would seem like it would be a perfect match for them. And as I understand it from what they've been told, the agreement will be for the cinema to still maintain their usual schedule for the weekends, and Netflix would be free to do their releases during the week where necessary. And so, of course, this seems like a match made in heaven for Netflix themselves. And as far as we can tell, there doesn't appear to be any negative impact as it relates to the consumers. Although it is pretty early, it's definitely a bit too soon to tell, since negotiations have not yet been completed. And I mean, we do have, I believe they have announced that we will need to expect a price increase at some point in the near future. So who's to say we won't be impacted by that, by it in some ways, right? But on to other news. Shazam, right? So The Rock, of course, and to be honest, I didn't know The Rock was a producer on the Shazam film, but he released a video earlier congratulating Zachary, Levi, and the team on their efforts in Shazam, Shazam being number one at the box office and being well received both critically and commercially as well, right? So glad to see Shazam doing as well as it has been doing, and of course The Rock hinted at his involvement in the project, more so in front of the camera, as Black Adam, which we have been expecting for some time, and honestly weren't quite sure we would be getting. You know, as he expressed it in his video, initially he said that when they pitched Shazam, or when they pitched the script, it was intended to be an introduction for both Shazam and Black Adam in one film, and that I didn't see the light of day, but I'm quite glad, and I think most of us are, that they did in fact decide to split the film and make Shazam first and then Black Adam later on. You know, I'm not so sure what his involvement will be for the sequel. They have already, of course, they've already given the go-ahead for the second Shazam film, and they've announced that the screenwriter Henry Gayden would be returning for the sequel. But funnily enough, David F. Sandberg hasn't been confirmed to return in his directing capacity, though, right? But this could be for any number of reasons. It's still pretty early in the game. In fact, it was a bit early for them to announce the sequel. But I mean, studios usually do that to express confidence in how the film is actually doing. So it's good that they're doing that. But I suspect that David is still perhaps in renegotiating his contract, right? And so he wouldn't. That announcement will perhaps come later on down the line. We saw the same thing happen with Wonder Woman as well, where Patty didn't return immediately or announce her return immediately, but until negotiations were completed, rightfully so, right? Of course, there are a number of other reasons. I mean, for Zachary Levi, he's loved the role so far. We love him in the role. I for sure would think he would be returning as well. I see no reason why he wouldn't be. But of course, the kids themselves are growing up, and so they will they will have to try to fast track things as soon as possible to ensure that they don't grow out of the roles themselves, because if he grows, if the kid grows fast enough, you go from Shazam to Shazam, right? And yeah, I'm not sure how that would work, but I mean, eventually he would get there. So it would be interesting. It would be interesting to see how that will play out when they eventually get to that point. If if and when the DCU gets to the end of their first phase, and the younger actor and Zachary Levi are, getting closer and closer in terms of physical appearance in any way, how the effects of Shazam would work, right? Will we go with the older version of the kid, or do we keep aging Zachary Levi's character as Shazam? It would be quite interesting. I'm not too familiar with Shazam's lore to see how that is addressed in the comics. So if you are, you can post on in the comments and let me know how that turns out. But yeah, The Rock is definitely, I mean, he's excited to see how well the film is doing, and excited for the sequel. He did say that they want to begin shooting the Black Adam in another year, so 2020. I would suspect that is when. Well, it depends, because given how quickly they've now announced Shazam 2, I suspect that it would run along the same lines as Black Adam. So I don't know if Black Adam is going to be the third film in the third film or in the sequel. I would hope that it is in the sequel, though. If only because we've been expecting this for so long, and it's great to finally get some sort of something concrete, albeit not all that concrete, but some confirmation from the Rock that, okay, I will begin working on this in a year. To say that is a priority for him, right? Because obviously he's in a lot of films, very busy guy. So it's good to get some confirmation from him that, okay, this is on my radar, and it's coming, right? So that's definitely something to be excited and something to look forward to. The only thing that would complete it now and make it even more perfect is if we get Superman in there, and it's a three-way between Shazam, Black Adam, and Superman. That would just be fantastic. So be sure to post down in the comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are on Netflix's acquisition of the Egyptian theater. Do you think this is a good move for Netflix, or should the streaming services be considered separately in their own category, or a separate award for their films? And of course, Shazam 2, how excited are you to see Shazam 2? And of course, The Rock to take on his role as Black Adam. Alright, be sure to hit like or subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.